Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this episode we are going to cover part 2 of Asia Cup 2022 preview, right? So in this episode we're going to start from where we stopped off in the last episode. In the last episode we looked at India's squad. So in this episode I'm going to look at Pakistan as well as Sri Lanka's squad, right? So there are timestamps as well, so you can skip to which part of the video you want to watch. So without further ado, let's start. In my opinion, Pakistan is extremely unprepared coming to this Asia Cup, right? In the sense that I feel that they haven't set their first 11. They're not sure about what strategies they're going to employ. Um, this is the thing, right? With Pakistan, we never know what they're going to do, right? They always come in with poor form, but suddenly when it comes to a big tournament like the Asia Cup, like the World Cup, they suddenly have a surprise package, and we can't predict what they're going to do. They're going to pull out something amazing, right? So we cannot rule them out, right? So let's look at what a probable 11 for Pakistan will look like, right? So obviously the openers are the top three actually is confirmed, right? It's going to be Mohammad Rizwan and Babar Azam opening the batting, and at number three we'll have Fakhar Zaman. Then in the middle order they'll have Haider, Kushdil, and Asif Ali. Then I believe they'll um, go with one spin. So I'd of the leg spinners Shadab or Qadir, and then is the fast bowlers, right? Shaheen Shah Afridi, Nasim Shah, Haris Rauf, and Wasim Jr., right? So let's analyze this probable playing 11, right? So we know what their openers are capable of with Rizwan and Babar Azam. They showcase how good they are in the last World Cup, where they stitched up partnerships, and especially the win against India, where they took Pakistan home without the partnership being broken, right? So what uh, what we can describe their partnership as is stable, right? It's extremely difficult to break that partnership. But my main concern with that partnership is that they both take some balls to get set in, right? Then uh, none of the two of them is going to go from ball once all guns blazing, right? So this might prevent them from making use of the power play completely, right? So maybe it would be beneficial if actually one of them comes at number three and Fakhar Zaman opens, right? Because we know uh, the capabilities of Fakhar Zaman. He almost scored 200 chasing in an ODI match, I believe, against South Africa. We know what he did in the Champions Trophy against India. So Fakhar Zaman is quite an explosive batsman. So be making him open and maybe bringing this one at number three might be beneficial, because you need someone to make use of those 6 overs that are going to be extremely crucial, right? You don't want to waste any balls. Then Haider and Kushdil, we haven't seen much of them per se on the international stage, but let's move on to their number six, right? This is where the excitement, right? Asif Ali. We've seen in leagues and all that he's been extremely capable, and in the last World Cup, he brought our attention to him, right? He played those last ball finishers, those finishing touches, especially in the match against Afghanistan last World Cup, where actually Pakistan were en route to losing it, but he came and saved them, right? So he's an explosive batsman, as we know very well. So they're going to expect him to provide those finishing touches, and he's going to be their finisher, right? This is where it stands out for Pakistan, right? They have this finisher role which is set, right? And um, Asif Ali seems quite confident in that role, particularly from what I've seen from in the last World Cup. So Pakistan will go with one spinner. Once again, I think it will be Shadab Khan because he's much more experienced, as well as, and his batting is also quite good. We've seen his performances sometimes when Pakistan lose early wickets and when they're in a slump. So Shadab Khan might come in and he's quite accurate with the ball. They might not go with Kadir because he's quite inexperienced and a bit inaccurate sometimes. So they might go for the experience with Shadab Khan. And this is where Pakistan as a whole come, right? Their fast bowling unit. You have Shaheen Shah Afridi, Naseem Shah, Haris Rauf, Wasim Juni, all of them, right? Whatever fast bowlers they have, all of them have pace. That's their big thing, right? Pace is extremely key asset in their under their belt, right? So Pakistan's pace bowling attack has always been um, extremely good. They've always been extremely accurate, and it's something that to this day gives batsmen shivers down their spine, right? Once again, when we look at the India-Pakistan clash, Shaheen Shah Afridi, right? This is where the Indian top three will have sleepless nights, right? Because of the fact that this left arm pacer who got them out in the last World Cup, which defined that match, right? The ball swinging back into their pads, right? That ball, which is going to catch them LBW or bowled, is going to be extremely risky to them. So Shaheen Shah Afridi is extremely a key cog in the machine for Pakistan to make it through, right? And Naseem Shah is quite fast, Haris Rauf fast, Wasim Juni, all of them are fast. But people like Naseem Shah, Haris Rauf have to be a bit more accurate, right? Sometimes the accuracy goes off and they can provide a few of those loose deliveries which the batsman can pounce on. Haris Rauf also has a lot of experience when it comes to league cricket, so he'll try to bring that in, right? But if you look at those last four, one key point is that none of them are uh, can bat that well, right? So that is where once again the top order has to come into play, right? The top order is extremely key for Pakistan's success and extremely key in especially setting up a total, right? Because setting up a total might be difficult since they might be a bit conservatory at the start and they might not, take those risks. But if they're chasing, they know a set target and they can build their innings around it. But they might not know what is a good first innings total, which might cause them problems because Rizwan and Babar Azam, who are most probably going to open and not Fakhar Zaman. So that if they play too much of a stability role, it's going to um, it's going to cause them to put up a low score. But if they try to play the unnatural game, it could cause them to get out, right? If they're going to use up balls, they've got to play deep into the innings and make use of their death overs and make use of the fact that they've got set in, right? Um, so I think Pakistan as a whole have certain key players that they are relying on at top with their openers and at the bottom with their fast bowlers to come into the party, especially with the new ball and getting those quick early wickets, right? So Pakistan don't seem too bad aside. We know what they did in the last World Cup. They were the quality side. They've obviously moved on, right? If we look at the number 4 and 5, right? Kushdil and Harder. So those are spots that would have been filled by someone like a Shoaib Malik or the Mohammad Hafiz. So they are moving past that experience, but I think it's for the positive, right? Because you can't be relying on uh, people like um, that because you've got to move on. You've got to move on to the younger generation who have shown their exploits in things like the Pakistan Super League and etc. So next, let's look at Sri Lanka's team. So for Sri Lanka, I think they have one of the most settled 11s coming into the Asia Cup, right? I think their 11 is extremely easy to make. It was the easiest for me to make. So um, the 11 would be with Gunatilaka and Pathum Nisanka opening the batting. Then Asalanka, Bhanuka in the middle order along with Kusal Mendis. Then the all-rounders Shanaka and Chamika Karnadatna as well as Haslanga. And then Tikshana Chamira. And finally, I would take Nuwan Tushada looking for looking in front for the World Cup because you need that fast ball and he has that slingy action and etc. But even a spinner um, might make their way, but I think a fast bowler might be much more beneficial. Um, let's now go through that 11, right? Once again, Gunatilaka Pathum Nisanka is a really strong opening combo. And this opening combo fits the template, right? One explosive while the other playing a stability core role, right? So Gunatilaka will probably take the much more aggressive role. We know that he's quite an aggressive cricketer. He doesn't like to consume balls. He likes to go from ball one, right? But Pathum Nisanka, we know he's a much more technical batsman, right? He likes to play proper cricketing shots and therefore he likes to get set in, right? We saw his extremely amazing batting down under in Australia, where he played that stability role all the way through the innings, right? All the way from over one all the way till the end. So they'll expect him to play that kind of role, right? That stability role, because he's not going to be that kind of explosive batsman. He's going to be much more technical, much more touch player, playing their cover drives, their cuts, and etc. And rather than the slopes, right? Then actually at number 3, 4, 5, you have Bhanuka Rajapaksa, Asalanka, and Kusal Mendis. So I would actually prefer if Bhanuka Rajapaksa comes at 3, right? I'm not expecting him to do anything, score around 60 runs or etc. Even a short innings, right? Quick fire innings in within the power play in the case of an early wicket would do, right? Like the innings that he played for Punjab in the IPL early on, right? He played those 30 of 12s that boosted their innings, right? Because bringing Bhanuka at number 3 might kickstart that innings, whereas Asalanka once again takes a few balls to get set in, so he can play that stability role through the middle overs. So making full use of that power play could be done if by bringing Bhanuka Rajapaksa at number 3, right? And once again, I have to mention that Sri Lanka still haven't released their squad. So hopefully these players are in the squad. We know a little about Bhanuka Rajapaksa and his equation. So I'm not exactly sure whether he'll be in the squad, but probably, hopefully he is because he will be a game changer. He's a game changer. Then if they play Bhanuka Rajapaksa, either he'll be wicket keeping. He did wicket keep for Punjab, or Kusal Mendis has been wicket keeping in the last few T20Is that they played against Australia. Um, then let's look at the all-rounders, right? Shanaka, we know that amazing innings he played against Australia, that blind offend innings, finishing the game off. So they'll expect him to play that finisher role, right? Something similar to what Asif Ali plays for Pakistan. But his bowling is also crucial, right? As the captain, sometimes he forgets to bowl himself, right? His bowling is extremely crucial if used correctly, right? Because he doesn't have that much pace, but but he can make use of the bounce and he gets a few caught end balls or getting batsmen trapped in his slow balls, right? So he needs to use his bowling to a great extent without relying just on his 5 bowlers. He should act like the 6th bowler and actually pull in 2 overs, right? Then, although Hasaranga is a much more established batsman than Chamika Karnaratne, I would actually send Chamika Karnaratne over Hasaranga because of the fact that Chamika is going to give you those quick runs, right? Hasaranga sometimes he's not able to come out and immediately kickstart his innings, whereas Chamika Karnaratne we know is capable of providing those 12 off twos and those quick fire innings that can make the difference, right? This also once again depends on how the innings progresses. If it's like in the 18th over, you bring in Chamika Karnaratna, but if you lost a lot of early wickets, 12th over, 15th over, then you have to bring in Hasranga because he is capable of playing that stability role, right? Then Chamika's bowling, we know, has improved a lot, and especially looking forward for the World Cup, his bounce, right? He extracts a lot of bounce from the pitch, so that might surprise batsmen, especially with the bounces and etc. Hasranga, we know what he's capable of, and Sri Lanka will rely on him a lot, right? They have refused to send him to the 100 because they want him fit for the Asia Cup, so they'll rely a lot on him to uh, actually bowl through the middle overs along with his partner Mahesh Deekshana, right? Um, so both of them should bowl in tandem, and they're one of the best spinner duos going around in international cricket, right? Because they're settled. They know how to put pressure on batsmen, right? So Tikshana is going to be extremely interesting. Looking at him bowling uh, in Australia, right? Because there might not be much spin, but his variations might trick the batsman, right? He has a lot of variations, but the problem is sometimes without getting the batsman trapped in his variations, he himself gets trapped in those variations, right? Sometimes he bowls the ball too short by trying something new, right? So yes, you have to try new variations. You have to keep the batsman on their feet, but you have to be accurate at the same time, right? So you don't want him to bowl those short, loose deliveries that the batsman can just swat away for six. You want him to be a bit more accurate. Then Chamira has been extremely crucial uh, since joining after his injury, right? He's been extremely crucial. He's been able to bowl skiddy, trap the batsman with his pace, right? Although he doesn't have that uh, big, scary fast bowler build. He's still extremely fast. He has that quick action. The ball comes faster than you expect. He's got some good slower balls, right? His death bowling game has really improved. He's mixing those faster deliveries really well with the slower deliveries, especially at the end, and trapping batsmen, right? So Chamira will be extremely key. And then the last one, right? As I mentioned before, either Nuwan Tushara or the spinner, or if Sri Lanka want to bring Lahiru Kumara back in the equation, I think they move past him. But a fast bowler would be preferred. Um, the thing is, Nuwan Tushara is a bit inexperienced, so it might be a bit of a risk. And he, at times, especially with that slingy action, sometimes he can be a bit inaccurate. If they take a spinner, it will be most probably Praveen Jayavikrama. But looking forward for the World Cup, I think it would make more sense for them to try a fast bowler rather than being over reliant on their spinners, right? Sri Lanka has performed really well when it comes to uh, bilateral series, but we have to understand that those series were played at home, so they used their spinners to a great advantage. So they'll have to adapt right into the new conditions, being more reliant on their fast bowlers and not being over reliant on the conditions, right? Overall, I think Sri Lanka is doing will have an amazing Asia Cup. They'll probably top their table for Group B. Let's see how everything goes out, right? But I think they're quite a settled 11 as long as they don't try to do too much and they stick to their basics and stick to what's been working for them. I think they'll really succeed this Asia Cup.